Pella 250 Premium Multi-Slide Pocket Door Installation. Refer to the most current installation instructions on installpella.com for assembling and installing Pella product and for additional details on rough opening preparation for various wall system applications. Prior to setting the frame, complete all required rough opening preparations, including any sill flashing and other steps as specified in the installation instructions. Sill, sealant, and flashing are not shown in the following steps. Refer to the installation instructions for tools, materials, and specific steps needed to install your Pella product. Multi-slide panels are bottom-loaded. Verification of all building and construction loads by a structural engineer is recommended. Remember to always wear appropriate personal protective equipment. It is recommended to open the stretch-wrapped parts early, the pocket and wall interlock, and the blind panel, to take pressure off of the blind panel and prevent it from warping. If the door frame is a knockdown frame, please watch the Pella 250 series standard and premium knockdown frame assembly video first before watching this video and installing the pocketing multi-slide door frame and panels. It is very important to take the necessary time to level the sill and make sure not only the length of the opening is level, but also the distance from the interior to the exterior is level as well. Spacing between shims should be no more than 2 inches apart. Remove the jamb frame caps from the frame. Remove the head panel stop bumpers from the frame. Remove the head frame caps from the frame. If needed, use a straight blade screwdriver to pry one of the frame cap legs out of the frame pocket. Remove the sill threshold frame cap from the frame. If needed, use a small pry bar to pry one end of the frame cap out of the frame pocket. Remove the bumper from the sill. Pre-drill 3/8" holes through the first layer of vinyl only. These will be plugged later with 3/8" provided hole plugs near the completion of the installation. Do not pre-drill on the die line. Instead, pre-drill toward the interior portion of that pocket, off to the side of the die line. When installing a 3-track multi-slide, the screw pattern should be every 16 inches in the outer and inner track and 3 to 6 inches from each corner. In these tracks, make sure the screws are not on the die line, but toward the center of the frame, if the screws are exposed and need to be pre-drilled. Confirm the sill rough opening is level. Place a level on the sill and shim as needed. If shims are needed to level the sill, make sure shims are placed no more than 2 inches apart, as well as the entire depth of the frame sill. It is very important to take the necessary time to level the sill. Make sure not only the length is level, but also the distance from the interior to the exterior is level as well. The sill must be level, left to right, and inside to outside. Place a 1/4 inch shim where it will end up being between the exterior pocket wall and the frame. Center the bottom of the door in the opening and tilt the door into position. Do not slide the door into the opening. Sliding will damage sealant lines. Check the jambs to confirm they are plumb and confirm there is room for shimming between the jambs and opening on each side. Walk across the sill to compress the sealant and confirm the frame is firmly on the threshold, free of any humps due to the sealant under it. Place a 1/4 inch shim between the exterior pocket wall and the frame at the head. Insert a provided installation screw in the head near the shim to set the frame 1/4 inch away from the pocket wall and the frame. Measure the distance from the frame to the exterior wall on the pocket end. Make sure both ends of the frame will have the same setback. Lift the frame, do not slide, to adjust the lock side of the frame as needed. With a frame screw provided and a shim behind the screw, secure one of the 4 corners. Install a screw in the bottom pre-drilled track holes. Shim and secure the top corner above the corner just secured. Check with a level to make sure the frame is level. If needed, loosen the screw by the exterior wall pocket to be able to level the side of the frame. Then finish tightening the top screw. Retighten the screw at the wall pocket, making sure the 1/4 inch shim is still in place. Place a level on each jamb to confirm they are plumb interior to exterior. Measure the frame diagonally to confirm the frame is square in the opening. Finish securing the final corners. Secure the jambs and head of the frame. placing the screws in the appropriate tracks no more than 16 inches apart and roughly 3 to 6 inches from the corners. Place shims at every screw location to eliminate any frame movement. Shim at least every 16 inches on the jambs and the head. Use a level to make sure the jamb is plumb side to side and there is no daylight between the level and the frame. Level and secure the head, making sure it's perfectly straight. Apply sealant at the non-pocket side of the frame where the jamb and sill meet in the location shown. Make sure all jamb to sill meeting locations are covered with sealant. It may be necessary to slide the sill tracks out of the way to have adequate room for sealant application. Tool sealant as needed. Before the panels are installed, make sure the tracks are snapped securely in place. Use a block of wood and a hammer and work down the entire length of each of the door's tracks. This will ensure the tracks are snapped into place, which may have shifted during shipping. Vacuum out the sill to clean out all debris from the tracks to make sure the panels will roll freely. Install the innermost first vent panel into the inner track. Raise the roller adjustment using a number 2 Phillips hand screwdriver. Have someone tilt the door to take the weight off of each roller while making adjustments. On a premium door, the panel should be raised 2 5/8 inch from the top of the sill to the bottom of the glazing bead. Be careful not to over-tighten the screws. Slide the panel to the lock jamb and look at the reveals. Check the panel to frame reveal is even and the same at the lock jamb. Make sure there is a consistent gap between the panel and jamb along the length of the jamb. Install the next intermediate panel into the next track, following the process as the first vent panel. Repeat roller adjustment and checking of reveals on the intermediate panel. Check the reveal with the second panel against the lock side jamb. It should be even and straight, just as the first panel. Hold the locking active panel and the second panel together and slide them as one. Check to see if the panels are sliding evenly together without shifting opposite of each other. Also check to confirm panels are flush with each other. If when sliding the panels together as one, they did shift opposite of each other, this can be corrected by shimming under the frame in the area the panel shifted. Use a pry bar to lift the frame slightly in that area and position the shims under the frame. Slide the locking panel back over to the lock jamb and check the reveal against the lock jamb. With the locking panel against the lock jamb, check to confirm the panel interlockers are all properly engaged and the reveals at each interlocker are even. Repeat these steps for the third active panel on 4-track doors. After all of the panels are installed, adjust the frame as necessary to get the required reveals. Then collectively check the reveals of every panel by sliding them together as one. Make sure the panels slide without any shifting opposite the other panel or panels. Adjust the reveals as needed by shimming the frame. Keep in mind if you need to shim under the frame near the interior panel, it will affect the second and/or third panel. This is why the shimming process at the beginning is very important in order to minimize any reveal issues. If the door does not have flush mounted hardware, install the hardware now. Install the keeper. Lock the keeper onto the door panel. Slide the door near the locking side jamb and mark the frame where the height of the keeper is positioned. If the keeper will be installed over a frame installation screw, be sure to install a hole cover before attaching the keeper. Unhook the keeper from the panel and set it in the jamb, aligning it with the pencil mark transferred to the frame. Use the die line in the center of the pocket for the center reference. Mark the center of the top and bottom holes of the keeper onto the frame. Use the attachment screws to start a hole at each of the marked locations. Secure the keeper onto the frame with the keeper screws provided. Place shims between the framing of the opening and the door's frame. Make sure shims are in nice and snug to eliminate any movement. Slide the panel close to the frame to confirm the frame reveal is still perfectly straight with the panel. Close the vent panel and test out the lock. Do this multiple times to make sure the door is sliding and locking easily. With the keeper installed and locking correctly, finish installing the last screws. 4-hole keeper. Place the upper middle screw at the top of the oval hole and the lower middle screw at the bottom of the oval hole. 3-hole keeper. Place the screw at the top of the middle hole. Installing the last screws will secure the keeper in place, which in turn will help eliminate service issues in the future. In the hardware box, there will be pocket door panel stops and panel stop screws. The amount and color of the panel stops will vary depending on the number of panels and the color of the door being installed. Mount the panel stops to the back of the second, third, and/or fourth intermediate panels with the provided screws. 2 panel doors will only have a black panel stop. With doors which have more than 2 panels, there will also be a black panel stop and black panel stop screws. Mount the black panel stop to the panel closest to the exterior wall. If a premium door was purchased with hardware other than the flush hardware, a panel stop will be provided. This stop is to be mounted at this location at the back of the second panel and stops the active panel before the hardware handle contacts the second panel. Even if pre-drilled holes exist, use a 9/64" drill bit to pre-drill for the installation. If the panel is not pre-drilled, align the panel stop to the proper position and mark where to drill with a 9/64" bit. Do not position the stop on top of the glazing bead. Install the black panel interlock to the back of the panel closest to the pocket, mounting it under the black panel stop. Use a mallet or a hammer with a wood block and carefully attach the interlock onto the back of the panel. Using the provided pocket panel interlock stop screws, secure the interlock into place. If possible, have a helper push on the other side of the panel to help keep the panel steady while driving the screws. Completely shut the door with the locking panel into the lock jamb. Make sure all the interlocks are fully engaged. Confirm the exterior pocket wall is in the desired location, so the panel interlock and wall interlock will engage properly. Once the wall placement is confirmed, dry fit the wall interlock to the exterior pocket wall to ensure a proper fit. Make sure the wall interlock and panel interlock will engage properly. Adjust the wall as needed. Using the panel's edge, make sure the interlock is straight and even along the entire side of the panel. When installing the wall interlock, make sure the metal is not pushed tight against the panel. Try to leave a 1/8" gap between the panel and the metal. Not doing so will cause the panel to be too tight to the wall interlock and possibly knock when used. Apply a bead of polyurethane down the length of the wall. Position the wall interlock on the framing between the rough framing and the door, leaving a 1/8" gap between the panel and the metal. Secure the top and bottom of the exterior portion of the wall interlock using the wall interlock screws. Using a 1/8" shim as shown to keep the metal away from the panel, as mentioned earlier. Confirm the wall interlock engages the panel interlock when the door is closed and locked and all the panel interlocks are engaged. If there are any voids between the framing and interlocks, it is necessary to put shims where each screw will be installed so the aluminum does not twist when securing it into place. This will eliminate flex that could cause faulty operation. Secure the exterior portion of the wall interlock using the wall interlock screws. Use shims as and if needed to make sure the wall interlock engages the panel interlock. Be careful not to dent the lip of the panel interlock, which the blind panel fits into. If it was dented, it will need to be fixed so the blind panel will fit completely into the pocket in the panel interlock. Test the door operation by closing it completely, making sure the locks and all the interlocks fully engage. Closing the door allows access to the interior portion of the wall interlock. Secure the interior portion of the wall interlock into place, making sure the screw heads are flat on the aluminum. If they are not, there is a high possibility the panel interlock will catch on the head of the screw. Install the blind panel by sliding the panel behind the small aluminum lip and into the pocket on the back of the panel interlock. If the lip of the back of the panel interlock was bent during installation, it will need to be straightened so the blind panel will fully sit into the groove. Secure the blind panel using the pocket blind panel screw supplied. Before installing the frame caps, vacuum out the sill. Without moving the primary vent panel, make sure all the intermediate panels are pushed into their interlocking positions. Mark on the head and sill where each panel ends. Open the vent panels. Insert the bumper into one end of the head frame cap. Insert the head cap into the frame pocket with the bumper against the jamb and see if the end aligns with the mark placed earlier on the head. If needed, mark the head cap where it needs to be trimmed. Remove the head cap and trim it to the correct length. Apply dabs of sealant to both sides of the pocket every 16 inches to the length of the cap. Install the head caps with the bumpers toward each panel. Insert the bumper into one end of the threshold frame cap. Insert the threshold cap into the frame pocket with the bumper against the jamb and see if it aligns with the mark placed earlier on the sill. If needed, mark the threshold cap where it needs to be trimmed. Remove the threshold cap and trim it to the correct length. Install the threshold caps with the bumper toward each panel. Before installing the strike side jamb caps, it's necessary to apply dabs of polyurethane on both sides of the jamb pockets, top and bottom, every 16 inches, so when the cap is installed the legs are in contact with the sealant. This will help eliminate any movement of the caps. Install the lock side jamb caps. There are pieces of the aluminum threshold caps that came installed in the frame and were removed earlier, or they were supplied in the hardware box. These aluminum pieces, along with the rubber bumpers, are used as panel stops at the pocket frame end. If they come in the hardware box, they will most likely need to be trimmed to the desired length. To determine the desired length of the stops, position the panels in the pocket end of the frame and mark the location of the ends of the panels on the frame when they are positioned as desired. Measure and cut the aluminum pieces with the bumpers installed to the desired length. Install the aluminum caps into the head tracks on the pocket end of the frame. Use sealant to adhere the rubber bumpers and cap in their final location. Make sure to apply sealant behind the bumper in an area that will not be in contact with the panel. Repeated slamming from the panel can knock these out. Do not skip this step. Install bumpers into the stops. Install hole plugs in the pre-drilled installation holes not covered by frame caps and into the roller adjustment holes on the vent panels. Refer to the written instructions for additional diagrams, information on sealant, optional sill pan instructions, and more.